What's up everyone, Matt here, back with another Mario Kart Tour video on the channel, and I've got some very special guests today. So stoked to have you guys with me. Welcome Flo and Sammy D from Kart Life. How you guys doing?
Yo, yo.
Hello, Mets. Hello, Sammy.
It's so good to have you, and we're representing three very different time zones across the planet today. So it's first thing in the morning here on a Saturday here. I hope you guys have had a great Friday. I know it's getting quite late for you, Flo, so thanks for joining. And Sammy is no stranger to the community, so thank you so much for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it, man. And, you know, I'm really keen to start out, and this video is going to be all about ticket time and looking at Sammy's rankings. We're going to treat it as like an example of someone who's quite new to using ticket time and really dig into what that might look like. So thanks for coming, man, and tell us a little bit about how you like to play the game, what you enjoy in terms of upgrading and all that jazz.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for making the time, both of you. So first time use it ticket time. I'm just kind of like still catching up with different resources and stuff. So we were chatting and you're like, let's just hop on a video. So I figured, sure. I mean, my God, how do I summarize how I like to play or invest? It's hard. I would say all the thoughts in my head right now all lead towards being in the moment and adapting to the game. I mean, it gets into the philosophy of the game. Or for philosophy of your investment style, and basically being able to pivot, being able to adapt, evolve. Let's just rattle off some of my things I like to do. I would say since the beginning, I've been a type of player who's a little bit free to double cap things pretty fast. I like doing a half spot A, as I call it. I like getting something to 4, coasting there for a little bit, making sure it's looking good, then take it to 6. Take it to 7. 6.2 has always been my plateau, and weirdly, I still have tons of things at 6.2. I think that's what's enabled me to save a lot of resources. If I can get by with having when it came to like Meowser, I instantly took him to 7.3 because he's heavyweight, and after like a couple of tours, it was very clear. Plus, I think I went for ACR, but. Yeah, 7.3 is kind of reserved for the heavyweights. I've never taken a there's 2 exceptions for that. King Mario, who I decided, okay, I spent so many rubies on him, I'm going to take him to 7.3. I think he's still at 7.3. And then I did Hakama for my my All Cup run, my top 100 run, just because he's always been one of my favorite drivers, as well as Kamek. And like he gets frowned upon so much by the player base, so like I have a real attachment to Hakama, and I figured if I take him to 8.4, then at least I can like get the use out of him on his tracks. So there's a couple exceptions where I go to 7 or 8 with something, but I was telling you, we were chatting, I don't think I have a single level 8 high-end cart. I don't think I have but 2 level 8 high-end gliders. One was for daily selects, which was the Crimson Crane, just because I like Japanese things, and that helped me that week in ranked. And then the others, the 8-bit super, 8-bit 1-ups at 7.4. But really, in other words, you can kind of see I'm kind of like I think you see a lot of the whales and the big players. We watch Studfit's videos, we watch Carlos's videos, we watch other people, and everyone's got these level 8s, and it becomes very easy to start thinking, oh, I should take a bunch of things to level 8. And I say I'm the type of person who would be, I'm very conservative about that. I don't want to get, I don't want to have this like FOMO about like I don't have enough level 8 things, because if I can just get by with things at 6, 7, then I can even level 4. I mean, I'll go through ranked weeks all the time with stuff at 4.1 or 4.2 when it comes to carts and gliders. So I'm kind of, we'll probably do a bunch of examples and you'll tell me a bunch of amazing investments I should make, and I probably won't make it. I don't know. We'll see. But then you have the me invasion going on at the same time. And so that, everyone at some point has to reckon with how do they bring that into their strat. And it's the same. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, do you have gold me at high level?
Oh yeah. Gold me is completely max.
Cool. Cool.
As soon as I got him, I did wait a few weeks and I slowly worked on him because I wasn't impressed right at the beginning. especially that first week when you got him. I worked every single week to advance. I did not miss a single week of tearing down. And then I got him and he wasn't even ranked that week. And I was so pissed off. I was like, oh my God, I could have just chilled, But
I
no,
think I
took him
remember
to
that
eighth.
episode of the grind as well as the
so
Hakama one. That was like legendary. That moment that you
That was fun.
finally leveled up Hakama. It was just like
That
it was
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got the gold me at 8. I should have said that. I did. So with the Miis, I figured I was pretty in love with the metallics right from the day they were announced. So I was like, oh, yeah, I took bronze actually to 6-2 very quickly, like before anyone else. And I haven't used it that much, honestly. The silver I took to 6-2 as well. I've used it a few times. I could definitely go more on that one. I mean, at this point though, I've collected all the Miis. I was basically, when you say riding the wave, like I was not the surfer who's like on the top of the wave, like doing a perfect ride. I was kind of like the guy hanging back, like I'm on the wave and I'm just kind of like watching the people in front of me to see if they stay up or if they crash or what they do, and just kind of like
For
I'm on
sure.
I'm on a little boogie board, And what I mean by that is I collected, just enough Miis to kind of stay competitive with them, but I still was missing tons. And then eventually I was like, okay, time to go full all in, get every single Mii. And so I spent 2 or 3 weeks or tours going for every Mii. So now I have all Miis. I'm looking at possible investments like Yellow Mii Suit, Morton Mii Suit.
Awesome.
I don't love boomboxing. My relationship with boomboxing is like, I mean, I coined the term, and that's how much like I love it in theory. It's like the best ever in theory, but in practice, especially with Zelda coming out or getting busy in my life and COVID is over and I don't want to be spending hours and hours grinding boombox. It makes me so mad. And so like on your ticket time, first thing I did was I lowered the boomerang value just a little bit to see what that would do. So, but then again, you're going to have to use Astronaut Toad here and there anyway. Right. You're going to have to use, Volendam. So you got to live with it, but it would be my least favorite. In general, coin box, definitely my favorite skill. And then I think I'm a lucky 7 enjoyer.
I imagine you love big carts.
Yeah. Love big carts. In fact, I've pretty much gone to exclusively like I only want to invest in them. Right now, the Pink Speeder is my most needed cart. If I buy it and start using it, even in this tour, it's in ranked. I got 10 tracks with the Pink Speeder if I pick it up, but it's just not a massive cart, and so I'm just like being stubborn about it.
It's kind of not small either, though, right? It's probably more.
It's not small either. I know. It may be. Yeah, maybe hits that minimum viable hitbox.
I think
maybe
it
barely.
Does. Yeah.
But when I saw my results from your ticket time and I saw the hitbox distribution, which is a great feature, by the way, I was very proud of myself because like almost like 80% of that pie is green, and I'm like, yes.
Well done.
Yeah. So Fantastic. That made me. I was like, yes, I've been doing something right.
Well, thanks so much for giving us that breakdown. That's really good. And I mean, probably not a surprise to a lot of people in the community. We've been following along and we love your videos, Sammy. And I think that you are a great example of someone who balances right on that cusp of, like a long-term account, someone who's been there kind of since day one, but also trying to be conservative, gold pass, not trying to purchase rubies every 5 minutes. So I think that's a really great thing that you're doing. And so we'll dive into it. I do want to just mention that we're not going to go into the how to use ticket time today. I've dropped a video on the channel last tour, which I would recommend you check out. I'll put it in the link down in the description down below on how to use ticket time. So make sure to check out that video. But what we're going to do today is we're going to dive in and we're going to take a look at Sammy's rankings and try to give him some ideas or try to convince him to do some things that he maybe is being too conservative on. So we'll have a look. Yeah. And just before we start, I wanted to mention a few things to think about if you're a first-time ticket time user. Just some really basic principles, and this is probably more aimed at the newer players. For those who are experienced in trackers, you probably already know this stuff, but just a bit of guidance around ticket time. So firstly, it's important to mention that ticket time isn't just like a traditional tier list. Really, it's specifically designed to be a tier list for your upgrades. It's trying to show you, hey, this is the best place to put your tickets right now. And so it's not going to show maxed items, and it's not really just looking at coverage. What it's really looking at is your scoring potential on the courses that it has. So it's a bit more involved than that, but all the smarts of that is kind of happening behind the scenes. So really it's trying to surface up to the top of this tier list, what are the items you should really be looking at. And so, you know, we don't want to get caught up on, oh, this is in first place and this is only in third place. Really, that's not that important. What's more important is thinking about how you want to invest. You know, you see something that's not even obtained and it's in 5th place in the ticket time rankings, you probably want to pay attention to that item. Should I grab it? If I grabbed it, would I level it up? Would I use it in ranked? And would it give me some great coverage for a start? So ticket time is great for those, and it's also great for thinking about, hey, I've got some items I'm already invested in, and it's always going to surface those up to the top of the list and kind of say, hey, you've already got this at 7.3, put it at 8.4, and it's going to be amazing for your account long term, which we already know. Yeah. It really comes down to whether you need to do that or not. So that's just a bit of a preamble on kind of some basic things to think about, which we already know, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it for any new ticket time users. So what we're going to do now, let's dive over and let's go and take a look at your rankings, Sammy. So
cool.
So we'll start with the drivers, and I'm going to let Flo take the floor for most of this, I think, because he is the absolute investment master behind the scenes. I'm a bit of a hack, probably.
Yeah. And by the way, did I put everything in correctly in your mind, like in terms of the advanced settings? My average levels, my like action count percentage, you know, like, can you just real quickly cover that? Like, do you think I got that right, or?
Yeah, I'll let Flo talk to that, but just I think that probably the key thing that changes things the most is this setting here, average item level. Yeah. If you over-index it by going for the biggest setting, that's going to make it almost like everything's going to be about getting things to 8.4. And then if you go for this one, it's going to kind of undercook. So for most people, you want to go for this setting, like with an established account. You're not new to the game, so like basically all 3 of our accounts, we would probably want to select this option here.
All right.
And by the way, Sammy, you actually inspired a change to Ticket Time this tour that I talked to Flo about 3 days ago, and he already implemented. So shout out to you, Flo, which is switching this advanced setting to a switch that you can turn on and off. So it's kind of, we're trying to make it. Did I
suggest that?
You didn't suggest it, you inspired it.
Okay.
And so the reason that we thought that would make more sense is because it's not like you don't have to turn on the advanced settings. It's really an optional thing that, you know, if you understand what you're doing. So I just wanted to show, if you change between these settings, you can see here what actually happens is these, the number of simulated tickets changes. So I'll just change that to a basic level, the mid-range here, and then the upper. And so it's kind of assuming you've got more resources to spend, right? Which is exactly how the game works. And so for most people, this is the setting that kind of yields the most accurate results. Flo, would you?
Sorry, I know you didn't want to go into the how-tos.
No, that's okay.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That's actually one thing that I could have mentioned, because I also looked at the settings just to make sure that everything is set up correctly so that we can also rely on the rankings.
Yeah.
So what you probably misclicked is then that you selected the last settings, so the greater than 6.5, because then we are rather in the whale area where you have a lot of upgrades that are to level 8, which is probably not your goal right now.
Right.
So this setting, what we have right here, is probably the best. And then what you also did is changed the AC handicap to 85, if I'm not mistaken. So Matt, if you could quickly change that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, also changed the boomboxing or boomerang flower handicap to 80, just to make it a little bit lower than the other skills.
Yeah, and player level too, right?
And player level, of course, yes.
I'm at 251 as of today.
Cool.
Nice.
So here's one that we've cooked up earlier. So we'll jump across to here now.
Okay.
But hopefully that gives you a little bit more guidance on kind of how to mess around with it. I think as you play around with it more, you'll kind of get a sense whether it's undercooking the recommendations or overcooking them in terms of how high it wants you to take things. So yeah, definitely have a play around. But let's take a look at your drivers. So I'm not going to rattle them all off, but you can kind of see them on the screen there with Charging Shark Gold in first place there. I think the first thing that kind of looking for really is thinking about where we're at right now in terms of ranked. So, you know, you got Daisy Tidress, Toad Astronaut, Silver Me, Petey Me, Larry Me, and Santa Me all showing up in ranked. So this is great. If you want to be making investments, you can definitely think about, hey, these are going to be long-term, like great long-term for my account, and they're also in ranked. And really it comes, and that's why it comes back to that personal preference kind of piece. And also, of course, you know, some good kart life wisdom, which you teach us all about only making the move when you need to. So I'm preaching to the choir here.
Nice.
So,
I like it.
Yeah. So tell us what's your first reaction looking at this driver's list?
My first reaction was like, man, yellow. I go to 25 entries and see yellow me suit is all the way down at 12. And I don't know, maybe that doesn't mean anything. That these are all good things to do, because that is the driver I would like to use next week. Where I just have like whatever it is, Toad Tourist, Yellow Me Suit. Those are basically my 2 plus skill options.
Cool. Great. So I mean, just being at 12, so not in the top 10 doesn't like it's immaterial, right? But what you can look at straight away is, you know, what are the analytics that you can kind of see. So the first thing I look at is this column here. The number of improved courses is 10, with 6 of those being a substantially improved score that you could get on those ones. And that recommendation there is only to 6-2, right? So it's not crazy. It's not saying 7-3 or 8-4.
Gotcha.
So it's only 14 tickets. So
Nice.
it's kind of giving you, you know, your gain per high-end ticket is 14,795 points over an annual period. So that's not bad. And then you can if you're still not comfortable in the investment, this is where you can get into the item inspector. So you click on the item, it's going to simulate 6 and 2. So let's compute the improvements here.
I haven't even done this yet. This is cool.
And we'll see what it's going to give us.
Yeah. Cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So this is a new section that Flo's added this tour. This is a kind of a summary and total uniqueness score of 106. So that's really giving us how, you know, the courses that you need to cover with this item. Do you already have, you know, other items which are quite high level, or they're already there's already some great options on those course. So that's about the exclusivity, I guess. Flo, please.
And where do you want that to be?
That's a good question. It is a new number. Flo, any sense on that from you?
So if we, for example, look at Dry Ruins, which is probably one of the most popular tracks Yellow Me Racing Suit is on, there we can see that this uniqueness value is rather high. So it's close to 10. And this means that there are not really other good options available right now. Of course, there could be future Mies drivers buffed on this particular track. But if I'm not mistaken, I think there's no other plus skill on Dry Ruins. So this is why the value is that high. And it's even higher, for example, on this Amsterdam Drift 3G. Of course, it's a city course, so it's not that relevant as Dry Ruins, which we'll probably see more often. But yeah, those would be example where Yellow
there's a PD Piranha, right, on Dry Ruins? PD Piranha Me Racing Suit? Is that when it says previous best?
Oh, it's yeah. In the previous best, you can see actually that's also a good point. You can see that in the normal case, Yellow Me Racing Suit will be your best option, but then in brackets, it's shown what would be the best option if it's Me boosted. So if it's either in the Me Cup or in the first race.
Oh, so that doesn't have the brackets mean it's not actually on that track.
That's right.
It's not actually on that track.
Okay,
exactly.
good.
Yeah.
So it's also taken that into account that in 2/3 of the cases, you have to use the Yellow Me Racing Suit, and in 1/3 of the cases, you will be able to use the PD.
Can you filter by uniqueness and click it so that we just see the high ratings? Nice.
Yeah,
And
one thing is, it's probably not good to just look at that one number because,
Okay.
it's going to obviously show things like, Bangkok Rush 2. So I know you do
Yeah.
like to look at city coverage every now and again.
Sure.
But of course, the most important thing here is probably the course weighting. So if I then
Okay.
switch over here to course weight, then you can see, this is how I like to look. Flo, please tell me
Okay.
if you do things differently, but you can see these are the important courses that Yellow Me has, and you can see that these are great. Dry Ruins and Daisy Circuit RT, it makes sense, the one we just discussed and the one that's in rank this week. But then you can see, conversely, we've got Shroom Ridge T and Mushroom Bridge, which you've already got covered with Toad Astronaut. So this is kind of like a bit of like it's a consideration. Do I want to replace Toad Astronaut with a me?
Yeah.
I
pretty much do. If I can replace a level 6 boomerang with a me that's giant banana,
Yes.
then yeah, I like that idea.
Yes, that's good thinking. And same here, again, so we Dry Ruins RT and DS Mushroom Ridge RT, you would be replacing Light Blue Shy Guy Explorer. And I think that's probably why you're on the fence for this particular driver. It would, because it's a me, giant banana, it's going to be fun, it's a great investment in that respect, but it is going to be replacing some items you've already got leveled up. And that's the tough thing.
Yeah, okay. Should we go to a couple other drivers real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
What about, I see Kamek is actually on the list, which kind of made me, I figured that he's just been replaced at this point. But if I took him to, what is it, to level 8, I would get, I would only get one now what does substantially improved mean? How much, how do you measure that?
Yeah, I just measure the weighted gain on a track, and probably this will be thanks to Twilight House. Yeah, because this is, of course, a battle curse, so it will appear very frequently in ACR. Yeah. Most of Kamek's other curses are not appearing that often. That's why we don't have that high of a gain.
But I could do the same thing with Meowser, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, never mind on Kamek. You can go back to
and you can see why what we all kind of know is, and you look in here, like the numbers back that up. It's just that uniqueness is just not looking good because I still regret I love Kamek, but taking him to, I triple capped him on my free to play, and that was a big mistake because it was the tour that Meowser came out, or it was the tour before Meowser came out, or something like that. And ever since, I've regretted that because of the overlaps with the
we didn't know all these heavies were coming. So obviously Chuck and PD could both be great level 8s, probably Chuck more. So
why don't we take a quick look at Charging Shark Gold and see why? Obviously he's not in ranked, so it's probably not all that relevant for this week, but
but I like doing this because this means like first day next tour, if he's there, boom, I know,
So you asked before what's a good number for uniqueness. So 227, that's a big number. And you can see then it stacks up when we look at the uniqueness here. You can look at the course weighting, and you look at also, I like this column here, best upgrade. It's quite clear that he's already got these courses. You're already using him either at the same level, so he does have some overlaps with, like, say, Meowser, and so if you've got both at 7.3, then obviously you're kind of considering either one. That was why, for me, that I took Charging Shark Gold to 8.4, he's the only non-me driver that I've done that with. But the reason I did it is because his overlaps with Meowser became irrelevant when he's at a higher level, and so I'm not taking Meowser to 8.4, even though I prefer Meowser as a driver.
You can't pick one of them, maybe.
Yeah, you got to pick one, and it was just time. And he still has a bit of buff potential, and he's newer and he's more exclusive. So this is great. Like, this is just a giant list of all the tracks that you can get upgrades for.
That's great.
And it just goes on and on. So he's a no-brainer investment next time he's kind of in ranked. But of course it is 8 tickets. So you've got to think, do I actually need it to score higher?
Yeah.
Anything to add, Flo? Or should we move on?
Not really. What I maybe wanted to do, because we were discussing Yellow Me Racing Suit before, maybe you could use the filter above and filter for Daisy Circuit RT. So above the drivers.
Am I doing that right?
On top of the item rankings. I'm not seeing if you're filtering right
sorry,
now.
I am doing it.
Oh yeah, filter
Sorry.
course, exactly.
Yeah, it's just cut off.
And here
it's you can't see it on your screen, but I'm typing in the search box.
Okay.
Sorry guys. Carry on. So now it's showing. So I've searched Daisy Circuit. Do I need to search more than that?
I think you didn't select it. Sorry, we can maybe edit that later. So on top of the drivers, there's the filter course. On the left side, scroll up.
Am I? Oh, sorry. I am going to the wrong place. Sorry, I was using the search.
You're good.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
And here you can actually
nice.
use it. Yeah.
And so which one are we doing?
Daisy Circuit RT.
Cool.
Okay.
Because this is the one where we have, So this is what could be interesting to do if you have, some specific plans for ranked, and okay, I know I have to invest on this particular track because my opponents are quite good, and here you can actually see what you can choose from. So obviously, yellow Me Racing Suit is the only. It's not the only plus skill. There's also Toad Tourist, but it's a plus skill and additionally a Me. So it's already a very good option. Yeah. And then you see that the other options are then on position 26, 27, even lower. So they are probably not that interesting. So that is certainly the best option if you need this investment in the upcoming ranked week.
Nice.
And of course, you can also do this for the other ranked tracks. And if we now would switch to the cards, then you could already look which cards would be options for Daisy Circuit, RT, and so on.
Nice. Yeah, like in general, whenever I talk to Antilev or like look at my trackers, I mean, I'm pretty good with drivers. It's the carts, as we all know, that get you,
right.
and the gliders as well, so let's talk about those. I know we're already going longer than you wanted, but I'll follow your lead here.
No, you're all good. So one thing I would say is what you're saying, I think practically what that can mean is, I know you said you've got a lot of items kind of still 6-2 and you don't have any carts 8-4 or anything like that. Do you know that's actually perfectly fine, and in fact that's probably a good strategy. With the drivers going to 8, like you almost need to disconnect your strategy from carts to drivers entirely, and gliders as well. I think both gliders and drivers, because they have less in the game, you can take them to a high level, and it makes sense because they get a lot more courses. But with the carts, you kind of need to spread your coverage a bit more. And how that shows up here is, you might see, I'll just remove the filter for now, but you might see a lot of items where actually, how do I remove this filter?
You can just
unclick it.
Yeah. No, just type fill. That's one thing that I want to remove.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then you can filter query, and you can click it, and then it's removed.
I have not used that feature, so now I'm learning things about ticket time. So if you look at your top ones, you might see some gaps. This is looking pretty good. You've only got one unobtained item, which you already mentioned, the pink speeder.
Yeah.
And then you've got a whole bunch of
red off-roader finally took the mat. It's like, it's been in the shadows of the yellow for so long, and I feel like now everyone's finally talking about the red.
Yeah, it's finally got some great buffs.
42 improved courses with 8 tickets.
Yeah, it's insane. And you could even really quad cap it if you really want to, but
Yeah. And caps we have more of, because that's why I always double and triple cap stuff. I know Kareem on Stuff's channel was talking about being conservative about caps, but I get so many from the pipes,
Yeah, I have on my free to play. I actually have yellow off-roader quad capped. I've got the 8-bit 1-up mushroom quad capped on a free to play account, which is just hilarious. So you can absolutely do that.
So a lot of the big all-stars here, I love seeing the cream because that's what I'm trying. I have this project with the Mark IIs. Flo had mentioned it before we started recording. And I'm trying to get them all to 4 or the 6, and then, but if one's really shining, I mean, I would love to even go to 7-3 with the Mark II. I took the regular one there. Maybe the cream should go.
Yeah, every time I open the tour at the moment and Cream B Dasher has a ranked appearance or something, I'm just regretting not investing into it on my free to play account like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think I might even take it to level 4 on my free-to-play account, which is kind of insane to think about. But I you know, it will be the same for you, I guess. If we click here on the item inspector, you know, it's got all of these great new courses, which is crazy. You know, Yoshi Valley RT, Daisy Circuit, Bowser Castle 4R, Shroom Ridge. It's ridiculous. Like, none of those courses were came out back when this original item came out. So it's, you know, it doesn't have a long list. I think that's the one thing. But the fact that you've already got it at 6.2 is great. So you don't have to consider further investing if you don't want to. You'll still use it quite a bit when you're on that course. Yeah. There's a bit of overlap with like Armored Rider and Blazing Eagle, and I know you've got some opinions about Blazing Eagle.
Yes, you've been listening very attentively to my comments.
So I think Blazing Eagle does have a wee bit of overlap with some other carts you do have leveled up, which is, you know, perhaps why. And of course the hitbox is a consideration as well when it overlaps with like Red Off-Roader. I think maybe more interesting might be talking about your ranked. Like, have you thought about what you might do for ranked this tour?
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'll have these great moves I want to do, and then I'll be able to win ranked easily. And there's too much of a gap between the goal of winning ranked and the goal of getting top 100. Like, the game needs to bridge the gap. I think a lot of ways they could do that without getting too sidetracked are like, if you gave ACR rewards, like give rewards for top 100. Top 100 players should get 30,000 coins and 6 high-end tickets. Then I would actually spend some tickets right now, you know? But right now I'm going to probably be fine. And I just probably won't spend any tickets because the only reason to do it is just like for overall coverage. But if I can keep getting by with second and first, you know, that's just, I get too comfortable there, and it's like, it just doesn't seem like the best use of my resources. So I have one opponent who's sleeping, and I'm waiting for them to score. That's the only opponent though, and I have a higher me suit, so a gold me suit. So I'm not too concerned. But if I did make a move, it's all about that. The big question on everyone's mind, the silver Cupid Zero, because on Peach Circuit T. I've got Happy at 6'2", Peach Happy, who I love, and Astronaut Toad, both at 6'2". The Morton Me suit could be a potential splurge, but I don't need to. I've already got a 6'2" driver. But yeah, getting the silver, either the silver Cupid Zero or there's that pink speeder. So you know, if this sleeper emerges and for some reason the sleeper goes way above me, I could just take second and have 5 rubies less. Or I could play for first and actually I'd probably go in on the silver Cupid, and just leave the pink speeder out still, because that's also spending 100 rubies. And I don't want to get too cocky with spending rubies because we just had 4 me suits come out of nowhere, and that could happen again, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Like, and especially, I use them a lot for Coin Rush, and it's really hard to maintain rubies these days.
But I mean, 10 new tracks with pink speeder is also hard to ignore, you know.
This is really interesting. I'd love Flo's take on this as well. I think this is a really, like, a lot of people are going in on Silver Cupid's Arrow. I think like it debuted in your rankings here at number 18. That's a really good sign, because that's really high for an item in its first tour. That being said, you know, that's simulating to 6.2, so it's only going to give you 5 courses. Whereas the pink speed is going to give you 16. So there is definitely, it is a bit of a gamble, but we know that commemoratives are good. So yeah, it's really up to you to think about like what, you know, the first question I'd ask is, do I want these courses upgraded for pink speeder? So if we just take a look at those, these are the courses.
So when I had the number of 10 tracks when I was at Bam and Gerb, since I got 10 and this says 16, is that because the extra 6 are hitbox improvements? Or like
probably cities. Probably
cities? Because cities include.
Might be the case.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, exactly 6.
Okay.
Well, there's Riverside
nitros.
Park, but probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Carrot, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Amsterdam Drift is there and Bangkok Rush is there. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean that's a great set of courses to upgrade, right? So I think it's hard, because if you go in on pink speeder, like that's that's already great. And look at the items it's upgrading, you know. The uniqueness is pretty strong here. You know, Rainbow Pipe Buggy at 1, Gold Cupid's Arrow at 1, Silver Flower Card at 1, Cream Cat Cruiser at 4. So there's a lot of upgrades of low level or small hitbox items there.
Yeah, it's just very hard to. It's very hard to not just wait till the next time it's in ranked, because the next time it's in ranked, all the same circumstances will be true, except I'll know more, right? I'll know more buffs. I'll know more about the Cupid Arrow buffs. I'll know more about any other card buffs. I will if I get it, I'm spending 100 rubies in order to possibly get 5 rubies. You know what I mean? And like in terms of like this week, I could do the same thing next tour and make it matter more if I really need to. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to be convinced to just buy it.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. What you're doing is I guess the benefit is investing into these courses, right? So you got to see the value in that.
And it's nice to have things like done, you know, I get that. And I should do that more. I should just like be like, all right, this is done with, you know, I'm not even going to notice those tickets being gone. And now I have coverage. I don't have to worry about it. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at Silver Cupid's Arrow, and Flo, feel free to jump in on this discussion as well, by the way.
Yeah, I will.
I think Silver Cupid's Arrow, look, again, there's a whole bunch of not quite so great carts here, but because it's so new, it's really too hard to tell how good it kind of will be. You know, you've got, so it's replacing, you know, Rainbow Pipe Buggy, there's the Silver Cupid's Arrow there, you know, Blazing Eagle, Head Honcho, and then you got 2 red and pink B-Dasher Mark IIs here at 6.2.
Yeah.
So it really is quite a gamble because it's just such a small amount of coverage, but it might be a strategic gamble. What is your take on this, Flo? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I would definitely go with the Silver Cupid's Arrow. It's not as high as the Pink Speeder right now in the rankings, but it will probably jump up a little bit higher in the next couple of tours. It has the larger hitbox. That's a very important point, especially when you were talking about this green share in the pie chart in the beginning. So of course this would decrease if you go with the Pink Speeder.
Well, it's not only big, it's my favorite hitbox. Like, it is so good. I don't know why. I've gone in slow motion and I've tried to look at how the cart hits coins. And I'm telling you, that hitbox sticks out so much further than it should.
I think that's why you...
So myself...
Sorry, go ahead, Flo.
I'm probably, so for my account, the Gold Cupid's Arrow is actually better. So I bought this already and will maybe level it up already next week for ranked. For your account, Silver Cupid's Arrow is the clearly better option. And if you would level it to 6.2, we see here Snowland T, Peach Circuit T, both in ranked, where you could use it even twice, and you have only level 1 cards on both of these tracks. So it's probably either the Silver Cupid's Arrow or the Pink Speeder. And if you even would want to go one step further, it also has the triple ranked appearance at Daisy Circuit RT, but you're already covered there with the red B-Dasher Mark II.
You know, it could almost be like, there have been these times in the game when I've missed a number 1 meta item like Black Great Sale, and I could let I could see if I could get through the entire Pink Speeder cycle.
Fight it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and just like dodge it and get bigger cards as I go, you know?
Well, the thing is, like, coverage isn't the end goal. Like, the game's changed so much since then, right? So, like, back then, you kind of needed to get that coverage at some point, but now you kind of don't, like, the coverage kind of moves on, and now you've got a gap in your inventory, which kind of doesn't matter all that much until those courses come back. In which case a new item can take that course in ranked when it matters anyway. So if you're not as focused on ACR, then, you know, it's holding off is totally the right strategy. All right, just how about we move on to the gliders, just in interest of time.
Let's go.
By the way, look at that beautiful Kart hitbox distribution as mentioned.
So good, man. So good.
58. I'm gonna have to go look at mine later and figure out what my how I'm doing in comparison. But that's fantastic. You've
Yeah,
only
man.
got 2, 8, 16%, 17%, which is medium or smaller. So that's great.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right. Let's take a look at your gliders. Might be a little bit more straightforward, but talk to us about your goals here, ranked, anything you're considering.
Let's see. Now, how are you sorting them right now?
Sorry, I'll turn the filter
Yeah,
off
you have to
again.
remove the filter.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Let's just look
Yes.
at the rankings.
We're looking just at Peach Circuit right now.
I mean, yeah,
Peach
there are a
Circuit's
couple. I could take the really powerful ones to even higher level. There've been all these like floater gliders I've had that I've been like, I don't really like how they look and stuff. I don't really have any strong feelings, so I've just been kind of like, waiting. Like those have included Icy Mario's Mustache, Autumn Leaves, Fire Manta, and Cream Toby and Balloons. And these are all gliders that, like those 4, I would say, if I went hard on any of them, they'd be huge. And you can see there's Cream at 6. There's Icy. So Icy Mario of all those has the best ticket time ranking. And just like I said, for coverage, that's what I could do. But let's see if I can get by. Then I could just take. I mean, 8-bit 1-up mushroom. If I'm taking to 8, I should have done that already.
Well, it's never too late. It's never too late.
You're right. It's probably going to keep dominating.
And think about
thinking, like,
the chance of like one of those 41 courses coming back, right? Both for ACR and also for ranked. It's
and
quite
I'm also
high.
trying to think about the end game of Mario Kart Tour. Like if they do go into eventually a looping tour system where there's really no new items coming out, but they're just looping tours, like that glider is going to be used all the time.
Yeah, the investment strategy will completely change at that point.
Yeah, it would, but anyway,
I think those.
Tell me your thoughts.
Well, I completely agree. Like the cool thing is, 8-bit 1-up mushrooms isn't ranked yet again. So the thing is, if you want to do that, you can just go ahead and do that. Because let's say it's not in ranked for the next 3 weeks. If that's the case, or 3 tours, you're not going to make that move. So now is the time to consider that. But then if you don't, then you don't have to. So you've got the option there. But the cool thing here is, over Icy Mario's Moustache, you're improving. You can know that you're improving 41 courses over 14. But at the same time, this is only 5 level up tickets here, so it's it's a little bit more efficient, and you're getting those 14 upgrades for Icy Mario's Moustache. So I think both of those are great options, and really it should come down to whether you need to do that move or not.
Yeah, man, if they would bump up the first place rubies again, it would make such a big difference. I would love to get 40 rubies every week. Like this idea of playing for 5 is just like, why would I spend tickets? So maybe I do need to be thinking more ACR. If I'm spending less time playing, if I'm trying to play Tears of the Kingdom, like, shouldn't I make my ACR easier? Because ranked is like, I'm almost always going to get second, at least in ranked. It's very rare that I have 2 or 3 people that are, super top 10ers or whatever. So, but this is all the information. Like, knowledge is power. That's what I say in this game. That's why these resources are great. And I'll just say, if you're watching, definitely give Ticket Time a try and give a sub to Matt Aldridge, because you're almost to 1,000. Maybe it can push you over.
Thanks, Sammy.
But knowledge is power. That's like, even if you don't do anything with this stuff, now what the great options are.
Yeah. Flo, would you say anything on the gliders?
Yeah, I think there's one glider that stand out to me a little bit, which would be number 3, Wonderful Diamond. This would be my pick to invest in. So you see that the gap is not that big between the number 1 and number 3. This might be different, so that the gain per high-end ticket is really multiple thousands points of difference. Here it's 2,000-3,000, something like that, which is okay. And what you see here is then also the recency boost. So most of these gliders that we see here are already quite old. So of course the 8-bit 1-up mushroom, almost 1 year old right now. Same for most of the other gliders. The Wonderful Diamond will probably appear in most ranked weeks from now on as well. So probably another 3 months where you'll definitely use it. It also has a double ranked appearance this tour. So that could be a very interesting option.
Yeah, and I've already triple capped it, so that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the early triple cap is almost like it's almost like a commitment, isn't it? It's like,
yes.
I will probably try, if you keep doing what you're doing, then I'll give you more tickets.
Yeah, when it's like, I'm sure that week I had 29 glider high-end tickets, but I had 42 glider cap tickets. So it's just it's just easier to do that. And then, I'll go further. And I'm really glad to see this glider finally, be toward the top. So I could do that to make sure I lock down that pink Misu next week.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, I think that probably gives you enough to go on. It's been a really good discussion. And as Sammy said, if you haven't tried out Ticket Time on your own rankings, then definitely give it a go. It's a fantastic tool, and hopefully watching this has given you more insight in how to look at your own rankings and figure out what it might look like. So links will be in the description down below. Thanks heaps, Sammy, for joining us. Do you want to say anything before we finish out the episode?
Just thanks to both of you. Thanks especially to Flo for building this tool, and all the great data gurus out there for all the time they put in with their brains. I don't know how to do any of that stuff, so I enjoy just sitting back and listening to whatever y'all say and then doing what you say. So no, I appreciate your hard work, and everyone do check it out and give a sub to the channel.
Thanks, Sammy and Flo. I'll let you finish out the episode.
Yeah, thanks for the nice discussion. It's always a pleasure to be around, and then also have some looks at different inventories, and have some other people's thoughts on items and stuff. And it's been very cool. So if you haven't tried it yet, hopefully you will try it soon, and give some feedback. So there have been a lot of people that mentioned, hey, this is not working as it should be, or there could be some small improvement there, and I try to do my best to implement it as quick as possible. There are a few things that are a little bit harder to implement, a few are easy to implement, so if you have any ideas, feel free to share.
Absolutely, you're doing a fantastic job, man. So I echo what Sammy said. Thanks everyone for watching and for supporting the channel, and of course Ticket Time. So check it out. Stay tuned to the channel for much more content, and thanks again, Sammy and Flo, for joining. See you guys.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Peace.
Bye.